few weeks ago, I shared a video all about unpacking and tackling the struggles that I had begun to face while playing through my Very Veggie Legacy challenge in The Sims 4. In the comments, so many of you opened up about the challenges that you were also facing while running Legacy playthroughs. I learned so much from you guys and felt so validated too. So in today's video, I'm discussing 3 more of the biggest struggles that make Legacy challenges in The Sims 4 feel stale, overwhelming, and flat out impossible to stick with. To hopefully empower you to work through these yourself if you're also experiencing them, I'm going to be sharing how I'm actively overcoming and intending to avoid these struggles in my own Very Veggie Legacy challenge attempt in The Sims 4 too. But first, I'm Yasmin and my mission is to help you find meaningful and fulfilling gameplay moments in your favorite cozy life sim games. For a bit of context about my gameplay style in The Sims 4, I play in just one world, and that is my forever world, and this is my only active save file. This is where my Very Veggie Legacy challenge attempt is housed. My question of the day is, what is the highest number of generations that you have reached in one Legacy challenge playthrough? I'm always in awe of the progress that you guys are making, so definitely share your stories down in the comments below. But before we go any further, I have to give a huge thank you to the Sims Tree for sponsoring today's video. If you're anything like me, then at some point while playing a Legacy challenge, you've probably struggled a little bit with keeping track of everything, especially with how limited the in-game family trees can feel, and just how they feel like they don't do justice to the dynasty that you're trying to build. And that's where the Sims Tree comes in. The Sims Tree is the ultimate tool that has been beautifully designed to help you track and organize your Legacy challenges. With it, you can build stunning family trees that even include pets and non-familial relationship ties, like your Sims friendships, as well as their occult states and so much more. As the Sims Tree also allows you to write diary entries, store images, and fill out really detailed character cards, this is the perfect tool for capturing every rich story beat and helping you feel even more connected to your Sims as you progress through each generation of your Legacy challenge. While you can use the Sims Tree for free, the Pro subscription allows you to create an unlimited number of family trees, and it also unlocks a vast number of customization options, which allows you to make each and every family tree feel as unique as the Sims and stories that fill them. As you can see, the family tree that I've made for my Very Veggie challenge definitely has a different vibe to the one that I've made for the Goth family that's in my forever world as well. The Pro subscription's customization features really came in clutch here, as I could get super into the nitty-gritty of even customizing line weights to complement the custom photos of my Sims that I added to each family tree. So if you want to be able to create an unlimited number of family trees and unlock these advanced customization options, you can use my link in the description down below or use code Yasmin at checkout to get $4 off your annual Pro subscription. Whether you're just starting your next Legacy challenge or you're like 6 generations deep, the Sims Tree is the perfect cozy gameplay companion. Also, the developers behind the Sims Tree are working on a brand new community platform called TST Social. Think of it as a cozy online space just for Simmers. It's currently in development and more updates will be coming soon, but in the meantime, I have to give another huge thank you to the Sims Tree for sponsoring today's video. So in my previous video, I talked about the issue of lacking a sense of connection to your Sims as being one of the primary reasons why you might abandon a Sims 4 Legacy challenge attempt. This really resonated with quite a few of you guys, with some folks leaving comments saying that you maybe started with a founder that you just didn't really care much for, or maybe you got a couple of generations deep and that kind of attachment to the family really fizzled out. This is something that I have hugely struggled with, and I feel like I still have so much more to say on this topic, which is why we're kind of circling back to this theme right at the top of today's video. So one thing that I've been trying to remind myself to do much more heavily while playing with my Very Veggie save more recently is actually memory keeping in my game. The purpose of this is to kind of physically document everything that happens as you're playing. So there are 2 ways that you can do this when playing in The Sims 4 in my eyes. The first is internal memory keeping. And so this is where you have your Sims in-game literally just actively taking photos using their photography skill, creating creating paintings using the paint from reference feature, or even writing books where you can customize the title and description of each book to actually document kind of like story and stuff like that that's happened recently in your game. While I'm not playing with any writer sims in my Very Veggie challenge at the moment, this is something that I love doing in The Sims 3. But perhaps the most important part of all of this kind of in-game memory keeping is then actually remembering to put them up around your Sims kind of legacy home and displaying them so that then you're seeing them regularly, rather than just letting them rot in your Sims inventories, because I know I'm guilty of this, and I expect, again, I'm peacefully and lovingly calling some of you guys out here, but I expect that a few of you are also a little bit guilty of this too. This again will hopefully mean that you're kind of building that more meaningful connection to not just your Sims, but also their kind of home environment as well. Instead of having your legacy home being this very kind of cookie cutter, straight out of a beautiful IKEA catalog, your space just looks a little bit more lived in, and like each Sim who has kind of passed through the space has left their own mark on it as well. In addition to this kind of internal memory keeping around your legacy challenge, you can also do external memory keeping as well. So this looks like taking screenshots as you play, maybe even noting down the kind of story stuff that happens in some kind of notes app. Again, with the Sims Tree being today's sponsor, their service is absolutely perfect for this kind of external memory keeping as you're playing through a legacy challenge in The Sims 4. You might have a preference between whether you prefer to do internal or external memory keeping, or maybe you also like to do a bit of a mix of both. I think that something else that pairs really well with both external and internal memory keeping in The Sims 4 is also actually reminding yourself to do things in game that are kind of circuit breakers to your Sims' normal routines, because I don't know about you guys, I can get into such a daily routine and kind of grind with my Sims. Again, get up, make money, go to sleep. Maybe woohoo in there, but honestly, sometimes probably not. I feel like a lot of the times once my Sims has had their first kid, they kind of just forget to chat to their spouse, you know? So these kind of events to disrupt your typical gameplay could look like going camping in Granite Falls if you have the outdoor retreat pack. That's something that I did recently with my Very Veggie challenge, and I had so much fun with it. It was a very cute trip. But even again, little things like taking your Sims out on a dinner date, or organizing for some of the family to come around to the house for, you know, dinner if you don't fancy like going through a loading screen, which I don't blame you for, honestly. I know a lot of players also like to set up specific holidays where kind of everybody in the household, including kids, will get time off school and work, so that then you have dedicated days where you can start kind of implementing these memory making moments, which is a great idea. Really quickly, before we move on to, if you found this video helpful so far, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like or even subscribed. Doing this as well as watching to the end tells YouTube's algorithms that my videos are worth showing to more serious simmers like you, which is a massive help. For more ways to support my work, links to become a channel member and to donate can be found below. Enough of my spiel, let's move on. So the second aspect that I think stumps a lot of legacy challenge players in The Sims 4 is storytelling. In the previous video I made, I mentioned how I'd written a really big character bio for my challenge founder, Jade Sycamore, but by that point I hadn't really had much of a chance in game to kind of implement the story that I'd written out for her. And so that's what I want to talk about more now. To catch you up to speed, if you might have missed that last video, here's the kind of super quick rundown or the spark notes of that character bio that I wrote for Jade. Basically, she kind of came from a very wealthy, affluent, kind of old money, kind of well-to-do background. However, Jade was always a little bit of the black sheep of the family, where her family kind of saw her, you know, with her green hair and slightly like spiritualistic ways as being, you know, it's just an alternative phase, you know? And so I don't think that she fit in very well at her kind of private school life over in Windenburg. And I think that she just had a very cold relationship with her family. And so Jade was just determined to strike out on her own. She, you know, walked away from the family and all of the money and everything. And so she just started over in Willow Creek, where she kind of joined my Forever World right then. So from what I can tell from, again, the comments that a lot of you guys left on my previous videos, is that you're kind of like me and that you like to play in that very kind of goal-centered way, which doesn't often leave much room for storytelling in your gameplay. And with the more structured legacy challenges, like the very Veggie one, sometimes these prescribed goals can feel quite misaligned with the character that you're trying to play or that's kind of unfolding as you play, if that makes sense. So what I've been really trying to focus on recently is finding in-game systems which can give my Sims more of a sense of agency. This makes me feel like I'm playing in more of a character-led style than a plot or goal-led centered way, if that makes sense. So again, what does this actually look like though? So focusing on Jade here, I bought her a deck of tarot cards because A, I thought that it matched her personality, and B, I thought that it did quite, perfectly match the goals of Gen 1, which has you focusing on, a lot of artistic skills and the wellness skill, and I made that slightly, hollow jump between, doing yoga and stuff like that and the more, I guess, spiritual practice of reading tarot cards. So I've been having Jade pull tarot cards every now and then when I feel like I'm at a bit of an impasse and I kind of have a decision to make with how I want to progress her gameplay. And so whatever card she pulls, I kind of use this to influence my choice. In a recent live stream, for example, Summer and Jade both grew up into adults, and I was thinking, right, okay, the clock's clicking? What? No, the clock's ticking. There we go. And so, we need to start getting some babies happening because this is a legacy challenge. However, I didn't really know whether now was the right time, and so I had Jade pull a tarot card. And I can't remember exactly which card it was, but the kind of description of it said that she would be, wanting to kind of engage in some more like reckless decisions, I guess. So at first, I tried and failed during the live to get the MC Command Center Risky Woohoo mod installed, but again, that failed. So I just thought, what is more spontaneous and reckless than just deciding in the middle of the night, hey, let's go make a science baby? And so that's exactly what we did. Sticking with the life and death pack, there's also the bucket list system, which I quite enjoy actually on reflection now. Earlier in Gen 1, I decided that the final creative skill that I wanted Jade to focus on would be fabrication, because she actually self-rolled, I guess, the bucket list item to want to make the perfect fabricated item or whatever it was. And so I decided to have Jade focus on crafting candles, or I guess fabricating candles, so that she could then sell them in the store. In both of these instances, my action was both character-led, as it aligned with what happened to my sim, but it also aligned with the challenge goals too. Taking an example of something that happened to one of my viewers on that previous video, they had an instance where their sim literally died. So they took what might have ordinarily be seen as something which disrupts their chosen gameplay direction and turned it into a new main objective, which led them to some unexpected twists and romantic turns. If you've gone and written a kind of big story background for your sim, which includes potentially some other family members or friends, why not actually create them in your game too? If you've watched any of my previous content recently on my Very Veggie challenge, then you might have caught me saying that I've been meaning to add in Jade's family and her parents especially, to see if I can kind of explore their complicated relationship. And Jade also, again, got the kind of auto-rolled bucket list memory to want to throw a big family reunion. So I thought that this now really was the perfect time to do that. So I've added in her parents, Sapphire and Rowan Sycamore. They're currently living in San Myshuno in a gorgeous apartment that I did motherload quite a few times in, which was fun. I thought that since Jade's kind of splitting off from the family, they might have felt slightly disgraced, again in Windenburg's kind of high society circles, so they're, taking some time out in the city, to kind of mingle with the socialites over that way for a little while. And I also went into Windenburg and added in this stunning abandoned mansion, which is one that I am eventually going to be saving to buy with Jade and Summer if I can. And this is really going to be the kind of legacy house that's going to hopefully follow through the rest of the generations. As you can see, it's absolutely filthy and we're going to have a lot of work to do to renovate it, but I think that that's going to be such a fun kind of project to work on over time. Now, the last big kind of legacy challenge struggle that I want to talk about overcoming today is navigating overwhelm when it comes to following challenge rules and managing all of your sims. Again, right, I'm gonna say this, I promise, for the final time in today's video, but I truly am such a slag for achieving goals in The Sims. I think it's probably because chasing goals in real life feels so difficult, honestly, but psychoanalyzing that can be saved for another time. So I love a structured legacy challenge like the very Veggie one from Lil Simsy because it gives you just that, plenty of goals to achieve. However, a big caveat here is that with each generation, the goals are mainly intended to be completed by one sim, aka your founder or the kind of heir of focus. And so what do you do with the other sims in your household? Because, you know, your founder might have had multiple children, or your sim might have a spouse, and kind of, you know, you have all of these sort of periphery sims, I suppose. So I like to give these sims goals as well. Typically ones that I don't focus on achieving quite as much as I do with the founder, but depending on how many sims you have in your household at one time, this can be quite a lot of information to manage. So I think that to avoid getting that decision paralysis and kind of sense of overwhelm, which can cause you to just shut your game instantly, you have to have some kind of tracking or, you know, info management system when it comes to your legacy challenge. Now, I use my Notion tracker SavePal, which I kind of use to manage every single household in my forever world, but also my very Veggie challenge. You can find this at the link down in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. Having this out alongside me every play session is so helpful for keeping me on track and reminding me, okay, what did I do in my last play session? What kind of goals or kind of, I guess, subtasks did I set out for myself that I know that I wanted to achieve with this play session? What are my sims kind of current overarching big goals that I'm working towards? What kind of side quests might I want to take them on if the kind of mood strikes me, and all of that cool stuff. It really has massively helped, again, to kind of keep that sense of overwhelm at bay while I'm playing. Another thing that I plan to do in my very Veggie challenge, again, to also avoid this overwhelm, is to limit myself to having one child per generation. I can get so stressed when I have multiple sims to manage because I am that micromanaging overseer who likes to, you know, have my sims being productive at all times, which is difficult when you have multiple sims to control at the same time. So that's what I'm going to be doing in that department, I think, going forward. I might change my mind, we'll see, but for now, probably just one sim per generation. Lastly, something that we've been talking about, especially on stream more recently, is what you do in those moments when, again, those prescribed challenge goals that you get in these more structured legacy challenges, what you do when they don't necessarily resonate with you and your preferred play style. For example, with the aubergine or eggplant generation in the very Veggie challenge, which is the second one, focusing much more on romantic shenaniganery than skill building and money making, I'm feeling a little bit nervous going into it just because that really does kind of not align with what I enjoy doing in the game most. I think that my stance towards this is to definitely see these prescribed rules in legacy challenges to be more of like a pick and mix bag of sweets that you can pick and choose between. For example, again with my very Veggie challenge, technically gemology isn't one of the skills that you are quote unquote allowed to complete to, you know, have fulfilled those skill requirements to get every goal ticked off on Gen 1, because it's something that you actually will focus on more later in the challenge. However, I really wanted to do it and I thought that it matched my sim really well, so I did. And again, going back to the previous video that I made on this topic, in this comment from Deborah here, I think that they really put my feelings around this topic and challenge rules much more eloquently than I am here, so let me read a little excerpt from this here. I'll review challenge rules, and if I feel like there isn't enough challenge, I'll add my own. I'm playing the very Veggie challenge, but I've added quite a few components to make it more challenging for myself. By token, if there's things in a challenge that I don't care to do, I will eliminate them. And then they actually also go on to talk about how they're changing up things for Gen 2 in their own very Veggie challenge as well. So what I think I'm gonna do as I move on to Gen 2 in my very Veggie Legacy challenge is I think that I might add a little kind of spicy element twist, a little bit of spicy je ne sais quoi, I guess, to the kind of capitalist speedrun style of gameplay that I like to do in The Sims. And I might kind of see if my little heir, Ametista, the soon-to-be fashionista, I might see if she could make a retail store where she sells items and objects that she's crafted, which kind of specifically relate to getting Sims in the flirty mood. And this is going to be fun because I'm going to have to learn a lot more about which kind of skill items, stuff like that, and stuff that you can craft, how they, you know, cause different emotional auras and stuff like that. So I think that that could be quite a fun twist. I've not completely, you know, ironed it all out in my head just yet, but I think that that could be fun. I don't know, let me know what you guys think about that idea in the comments down below. My main takeaway when it comes to managing rule overwhelm and even burnout on Sims 4 Legacy challenges is take what serves and leave what doesn't. And with that, that is everything that I have to share with you guys today. I hope that you found this video helpful for navigating some of the pitfalls that you can come up against as you're trying to work your way through a Legacy challenge in The Sims 4. Before I end the video, I have to give a huge thank you to our fabulous channel members, including Amy M and Roberta, who are our amazing top-tier Tiberium members, as well as Catherine, Adriana, and Stephanie, who are our Soul Piece members as well. Once again, I want to thank the Sims Tree for sponsoring today's video too. Don't forget to use my link or the code Yasmin at checkout to get $4 off an annual subscription to the Sims Tree Pro, and keep an eye out on their socials for some really exciting stuff coming soon. My question of the day has been, what is the highest number of generations that you've played to in a Legacy challenge in The Sims 4? If you want to hear me blether on a little bit longer, click the video on the screen now, as YouTube has picked that out just for you. But other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.